Whoa. Who the hell are you? How'd you get here? I'm you from the future, 2024 to be exact. I need you to not drink yourself to death watching this team play basketball.
What?
No, it does not get better. It gets much, much worse than this. Okay?
Worse?
But then it does end up getting better. A year from now, trust me. Stop. Stop everything the both of you are doing. Who the hell are you?
Who is this guy?
I'm you from the future, and I'm you from the even more distant future. Are you thinking about making Luka MVP propaganda and Mavericks to the finals propaganda? Naturally, and some kid coach of the year propaganda. Scrap that. Never let that see the light of day. Stop everything that all of you are doing. Who the hell are you? I'm you from 2 months into the future. Why am I bald? What is that? Don't worry about it, okay? Look, things are about to get much better. I'm sorry, I can't get over the bald thing. It's a symptom of me being super locked in. Now, can I finish, please?
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
Thank
that
you.
makes sense. My
The
bad.
Dallas Mavericks are headed to the NBA Finals.
What?
Yeah.
How?
No!
Are you
The
serious?
NBA Finals?
I knew Exum would be the difference maker.
No, Dante Exum actually isn't in the rotation at all. So I knew Jaden Hardy would be the one to take the leap. Actually, that's kind of true. Hardy's made a pretty big leap here. Look, I need you guys to start saving some money so Papa can afford some finals tickets, okay?
Right.
The GameStop stock is about to go up. Maybe consider buying that.
That's still a thing.
Consider selling a kidney. I'm not entirely sure we need it.
Probably not. Yeah, probably
also,
not. I don't think you do.
apologize to Jason Kidd because he's really a postseason killer.
Okay.
So wait, the Mavericks didn't trade the 10th overall pick for Clint Capella? Well, folks, here we are. The Dallas Mavericks are in the NBA Finals, Western Conference champions, going up against the Boston Celtics, and we'll have plenty of time over the next week or so to preview that series, to go a little bit more in depth of that series, and we will. Just right now, I just want to talk and ramble. I don't know the direction of this video. I don't know what I'm even going to say yet. I just have a lot of feelings and emotions after watching this team over the last year. And look, you can go back on this channel's history and look at videos from a year ago. Like, this was a franchise that was in the dumps. Like, I can't remember feeling lower about a team that I was a fan of. Not because, obviously, the Mavericks have had worse seasons from a record standpoint, but just in terms of expectations, coming off of a trip to the Western Conference Finals, making a huge trade to go get Kyrie Irving, and missing the play-in tournament entirely and taking the final 2 games of the season. Like, that was dark times, man. That was dark times. Our future was very, very uncertain. Man, we were in the offseason talking about Clint Capella trades. Like, that is how down bad we were. And now, here they are, 4 wins away from an NBA championship, and they could for sure do it. In fact, I do think they're going to do it. We're going to get into that series, of course, in the coming days. But what a performance by this team in this Game 5, in this series in general. They win, close out Game 5 on the road, 124-103. 35-19 in the first quarter. Their lead at one point in this game reached 36 points. It was very reminiscent of the Game 7 against the Phoenix Suns. And of course, if we're going to talk about Game 7 against the Suns, we got to start with Luka Doncic, the Western Conference Finals MVP, and the performance that he just put together in this series is genuinely the stuff of legends. And I think, statistically, I don't know if it's his best series of his postseason career. I mean, that second series that the Mavs had against the Clippers in 2021, how about a 35-point, 10-assist performance from Luka? Just absolutely insane counting stats. You had that series against the Suns where he was absolutely remarkable, including that Game 7. But this series here against the Minnesota Timberwolves, what was the best defense in the NBA by, I think, pretty much every single metric that you can look at in the regular season. There was a lot of talks about them being one of the greatest defenses in the history of the sport. And Luka, over 5 games, 32 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds per game, 8 assists, 47% from the field, 43% from deep, 84% from the free throw line. And this was the best he's ever looked to me, personally. Like, again, I know statistically he's done, way better things than this. He's always been a top 5 player in the league, at worst, from year 2 onwards. But this was the best Luka Doncic has ever looked. That's how unbelievably good he was in this series. And he, from opening tip of Game 1, nothing the Timberwolves did threw him off his rhythm. He had a shoddy shooting game in Game 4, going 7 of 21 from the field. But I don't know, going back and watching that game, I felt he got the looks that he wanted. He had a triple-double in that game. Like, it was just missing shots. It wasn't like he was thrown off his rhythm entirely. The Timberwolves had no answer for him. They tried a bunch of different things, man. They switched up. Ant switched on to him. So Ant could, in Chris Finch's words, go over the illegal screens. Shut up! That's why you lost. Stop crying. They started the series in a drop, and Luka was killing that, and then they played a little bit more aggressively on the ball screens, and Luka was killing that. Jaden McDaniels was supposed to be a Luka stopper. Luka torched him, man. Torched him. Anytime Luka had the ball in his hands, you knew something good was going to happen. That's just where he was at in this series. The moment that he got that high screen and he got going downhill, you knew something good was going to happen. Whether or not it resulted in points, just depending on whether or not the shot went in. But you knew that it was going to be a good shot, whether that was a shot for Luka or an attempt at the rim from one of the bigs or a corner three or a pass to the corner, a skip pass, and the ball can move around or a guy can up fake and drive off of a wild closeout. Everything Luka did in this series offensively was masterful. It just was. This was one of the best offensive performances I can ever remember seeing. That's insane to say. It sounds like a lot. It's really not, though. He was that good in this series. And if you just go back to the final 2 games against the Thunder, the last 7 playoff games for Luka, 31 points per game, 9 assists per game, nearly 10 rebounds per game, 49% from the field, 45% from deep, 85% from the free throw line. This is what makes this finals run so remarkable. It's like early in this postseason, it did not look like Luka was capable of reaching these levels because he looked so compromised with that knee injury. In the first 10 games of this postseason for Luka before that Game 5 against the Thunder, 26 points per game, 8.8 assists per game, 4 turnovers per game on 40% from the field and 26% from deep. So he was clearly struggling, and anybody who's watched Luka at all in his career could clearly tell that he was laboring with a serious knee problem. And I don't know if it's just gotten better as time's gone on. I don't know if they've upped the steroid doses. That would have been my recommendation personally. I think what probably is the case is that he's just figured out how to better manage his knee pain and how to play through it and kind of change his game to work with his physical limitations currently. Because the last 7 games from him have been all world. They've been best player in the world level shit. In this 5-game series, again, against the best defense in the league and historically one of the best defenses the league's ever seen. This was a domination. It just was. 20 points in the first quarter of a Game 5. I knew it was over. I said it on Lockdown. I knew it was over in the first quarter because Luka's talking shit and screaming to people courtside. He's locked in, man. You pissed him off. Don't piss him off. You should take notes from the Golden State Warriors in the 2022 Western Conference Finals when they were picking him up off the ground. They were joking with them. They were laughing with them. They were patting him on the ass after everything. They knew what they were doing. Don't think for a second the Warriors did not know what they were doing by being super buddy-buddy with Luka in that series. And then, of course, you can't speak highly enough about Kyrie Irving and what he's done, not just in this postseason, but really this whole entire season. It's some of the best basketball Kyrie's ever played. Again, it's one of those things with Luka where it's like, it's not statistically the best basketball that Kyrie's ever played, but just from a pure basketball standpoint, it might just be the best basketball he's ever played in his life because he's been the ultimate team player all year long, reads the moment, understands what he needs to do and what the team needs of him. And can it be a little bit frustrating sometimes? Yes. Is there times where Kyrie needs to be a little bit more assertive and aggressive? Yes. But this series, we saw it Game 1, knew on the road, Western Conference Finals, Game 1, Kyrie knew that he needed to step up. His team needed him. His team needed to see the stars show up so they could be like, okay, here we are. We're in the conference finals. It's tough. We're the underdogs, but our superstars came to play. He had 24 points in the first half of Game 1, scores 36 to match Luka's 36 and to close out Game 5. And in the second half, he was just matching every single bucket the Timberwolves made, pretty much making it impossible for them to go on any extended run at all to even have a chance to come back in this one. He averaged 27 points per game in this series, 49% from the field, 37% from deep, 3 30-point games sprinkled in there. It was just Kyrie's just been incredible, and I'm super happy for him, man. It's the narrative surrounding him. The off-court stuff is one thing, but some of the on-court narratives that were surrounding him over the past year were just insane, surrounding him and Luka. And wow, did they prove everybody wrong with this finals run? And they're 4 wins away from immortality. And again, I think they're going to get it. We can talk more about that series in greater detail later, but Kyrie Irving's just been the ultimate teammate. 3 30-point games in this series. He didn't have a single one in the series against the Thunder, because again, they were double teaming him, they were trapping him. He had games with 11 assists in that series, 9 assists in that series, 7 assists in that series, just doing whatever is needed of him to do, while also playing some legitimately really good defense for a small guard. Derek Lively didn't miss a field goal in this series, 16 of 16 from the field. That's the most attempts ever in I think it was a playoff series without a miss. I don't know if it was conference finals or playoff series, but absolutely insane to not miss a single shot from the field. That's a crazy statistic. And this guy shouldn't be this good, this young. He just shouldn't. Defensively, obviously, you have all the stuff that he can do. Defending out in space, you feel comfortable. The way that he can move his feet, his timing on his rim protection and his block attempts and his contests at the rim are so good that it just doesn't make sense that he's 20 years old. It looks like he's a 10-year vet. And then the stuff he does in the short roll with the passing, the playmaking, and how comfortable he looks. And there's going to be some slip-ups here and there, some turnovers here and there naturally. I mean, that's just going to be the case with anybody, let alone a 20-year-old rookie center. But it doesn't make sense that he's as good and as comfortable as he is. And you can just sense the confidence that Luka and Kyrie have in him to just make things happen whenever those two see 2 or 3 guys on them on these high screens. It really is remarkable, man. I'm super happy for this dude. Really, genuinely. And I don't want this video to be 50 minutes long. I could go down the list and talk about everybody's key contributions in this series. I could talk about, PJ Washington hitting timely shots yet again and playing some great defense on Karl Anthony Towns. There's no secret why Karl Anthony Towns struggled. I hate that we keep doing this thing where it's like, oh, well, the Mavs, they played this. This guy didn't play that well. This guy didn't play that well. Well, now we're 3 playoff series into the postseason. Maybe it's because the Mavs are fucking playing defense. Like, maybe that's just it. Derrick Jones Jr., I thought, did a great job on Anthony Edwards. Just smart team defenders who know where their help is. They know where they're trying to send guys. That's just how this Mavs defense is playing right now. Daniel Gafford really picked up his level of play in the back half of this series. I thought struggled a little bit early on and has had some moments this postseason where it's looked maybe a little too quick for Gafford, but he really played well in the final couple games of this series. Jaden Hardy, of course, what the fuck happened there? Like, Jaden Hardy was out of the rotation in the regular season, and now he's just getting thrusted in the Western Conference Finals, and he's making things happen. He's hitting big threes. Jordan Clarkson is tweeting out Jaden Hardy's going to win an NBA Finals game. That would be crazy. I'm here for that. I don't necessarily think that's true, but I'm here for it nonetheless. Josh Green making energy plays, and of course, you've got Kill a Kid. Like Jason Kidd, who last year, I got a lot of shit for defending Kidd last year. Was I done with him? Yeah. Was I upset with him? Of course I was. When you're the coach of a team that's that disappointing, you're going to catch quite a bit of flack. But I thought that too much of the criticism was placed on Jason Kidd and Luka really last season when it was just pretty much a full team effort to be that disappointing. And yes, there were times this season where I was okay with firing him, but it's just something about the playoffs. I saw somebody on Twitter compare Jason Kidd to Jimmy Butler. Like Jimmy Butler takes the regular season off basically and shows up for the playoffs. That's pretty much what Jason Kidd does at times. Like, he's cool with experimenting shit and losing games in the regular season. He's pretty much said that almost verbatim. And now we get a Mavs team that feels like they're starting to click. I want to make that clear because it's like, it's stupid to say for a team that's heading to the finals, but they didn't even play their best basketball really at any point yet. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with Luka's clearly compromised knee early on in the postseason. But if you just look at their offensive rating, we talked about this in a previous video where it gets better as these series progress and the Mavs sort of start to figure out what you're trying to do defensively and how they can pick it apart. But just over the course of the postseason, it's just dramatically gotten better. Over the last 7 games for the Mavericks, they've been above league average offensively in all but one of those games, which, that can be pretty tough to do in a postseason setting against really elite defenses. In the 10 games before that, they were only above league average 5 times. So 5 times above league average, 5 times below league average. So they're starting to pick it up. Luka's looking unbelievable. Like, it's just, I really can't get over how incredible Luka was in this series, man. Like, he was so incredibly good. And it's a great time to get rolling. And Maxi's back and healthy, and I'm sure with a week off, that'll do wonders for Maxi. The team as a whole is pretty much healthy, and they're 4 wins away from being NBA champions. I cannot believe this shit, man. What an incredible run for this team, and it's far from finished, baby. Mavs in. I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to wait for my prediction video. But trust me, we're picking the Mavs. Timberwolves. Really? Your season's on the line? You're about to go home, and this is the fucking jersey you tried out in? Really? This is the worst jersey maybe in the history of the league. It's so ugly and disgusting. It's really actually repulsive. Gross.